everyone, and welcome to Ethics. I'm Connor Bromley. I'm joined by Alt Endon, and the question of the week to get going is: are there any Leeds players that would get into Sunderland's starting 11 from what you saw today? And this is Sunderland's starting 11 post AFCON. Are there any players that you saw today that you were like, oh wow, I would like to see them in a red and white shirt?
I didn't watch the game in that sort of way, and nobody particularly stood out for me. Um, I think
You've just
Goodmanson had
annoyed
some.
every Leeds fan
Goodmanson had
who's going to
some.
be watching this review.
Oh yeah, yeah. They'll only be hate watching. They'll be hoping that we say, "Wow, how impressive they were." But I was not that impressed with the Greg's team shirt they were wearing when they ran around today. I've always liked Tanaka. I think he's a good player. So when he came on, I thought I was a bit disappointed. You know, we'd crocked Rodon, and they brought on Tanaka. I thought, oh, he's quite good as well. So I like him. I can't remember how old he is, but I wouldn't mind having him. I know they go on about Ampadu and Bijol and Goodmanson, and they do have good qualities, but I don't really think I would take them above what I've got.
Go on,
But I
Calvert.
want a bit more of a creative link in my midfield and my advanced midfield. So I quite like Tanaka in that respect.
Fair enough. I think. I was just really impressed with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. To be honest, I thought he was outstanding today.
I, I, I thought of his shot conversion map that you showed us last time
Yeah,
when the goal went in. I thought that's another dot in the line.
yeah. That's it. It's pretty much another dot on the line. Yeah, I think I'll take Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Right, let's though sort of talk about the game, and I think what I'm gonna do is for our Leeds watchers, I am going to say that if I was a Leeds fan, I'd be pretty disappointed if I didn't win that game. I thought Sunderland were there for the taking. I think it's probably the the most vulnerable I've seen Sunderland look at home this season, other than maybe the Arsenal game. And I felt that Leeds were physically very good, very. I would say that they're probably the only team that's really dominated us physically this season. I was really impressed with their strength, the physicality over us, the sort of. I felt like they even at times dominated that midfield, which you don't normally see from a Sunderland game. I was really impressed with Leeds, but what I would say is the decision, essentially on 75 minutes to sit in and accept the point, for me was quite baffling because I thought Sunderland were there for the take, and I mean I think Sunderland really felt the AFCON in this game. I thought that the depth that we had and the way we played, and obviously Ballard not playing, I thought Sunderland were really there for the take today. I was happy with the point. On 60 minutes, I would have snapped your hands off for a draw in this game. So, yeah, I was impressed with Leeds. I think that if I was a Leeds fan, though, I'd be pretty annoyed. From a Sunderland perspective, in AFCON, with the players we're missing, with Ballard not being in the team, I think we just take the point. We move on. We didn't play well, but we got something from the game, which is the sign of a good team. But yeah, what about you? What are your initial thoughts? When we were going the sort of analysis of it, what were your kind of initial takeaways?
I thought we started really well. Before kickoff, I was worried because Ballard is a big miss, and I thought I knew, they've got so much strength from set pieces that I thought that was going to be a big miss for us today, Ballard, in the defensive line, and I think it proved it. There were a number of times in that first half before they got control of the game in the middle part. They won pretty much every bobbling, bouncing ball, and I thought that height and that dominance was missing for us today. And if we had put Ballard in there with Mukiele and Alderete, Mukiele being on the right, then we would have been a lot firmer. So I thought we started quite well. Their height really showed, and then when Rodon went off and they brought Tanaka on, they changed their shape a little bit, and that was when they started to really dominate that midfield. And I thought that was crucial for them. And I was nervous. I'll be honest. I thought they scored, and I thought they looked the team that would score again. And I thought Regis left his substitutes very late to try and change the game because it was quite clear what it needed. And when the substitutes came on, I mean, they sat back, you say. I thought the substitutes stabilised things. I think Mayender in the middle helped a lot. And at the end, there are chances for us. I thought a draw was a reasonably fair result for both sides. They definitely had a really good half hour in the middle. And but from a Sunderland perspective, I think that is the weakest Premier League team we have fielded this season, perhaps. Although you might take one of the first two games with Seals at centre half, but our bench was really threadbare, and I'm really pleased with that. If the team 24 points ahead of us last season can't beat our weakest fielded side from here to the end of the season now, then and we get a point out of that game, I've got to be really happy with that. I think things look good if that's the situation. Brighton last week, Leeds this week with an even weaker team, and those are the two shallowest squads we've had to field. We've got a point off each of them, and I think we should be happy with that, really. It's only up from those squad depths, only up.
Yeah, well, maybe only up, but certainly Man City on New Year's Day could be down. We don't know, obviously, the pick up.
Well, that's true. But hopefully we would have Ballard and O'Nien back. I mean, you would question it's not an enormous upsurge in quality, but the depth of the squad gets larger from here. This is the thinnest we'll be.
Yeah, in theory, that
Can't say that for me, though.
Heavy Christmas.
It's always heavy.
So yeah, I think that I think it's a very good point for Sunderland in retrospect. And I think, to be honest, we'd said in the preview, I mean, I think I was a bit more nervous about this game than you, but in the preview I kind of felt like, you know what, Leeds in good form. And I think we saw today that Leeds had a bit of a confidence about them, and they look like a team that's got like the tail up a little bit compared to where they were maybe a month ago. So the fact that we've got the draw, we haven't played great, we've not got our best centre half playing. We don't have Siddiqui, who's the energy. We don't have Ronaldo at left back. As Dennis Serkins played his first game. I think put all them factors in together, I think it is a really good point for Sunderland. The fact that we don't play well and we get the draw, I think we've got to take a lot of credit from that.
I think I'm a bit happier than you. Because that's pretty much a full strength Leeds side, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they
with new signings for the Premier League. And we're missing, 1, 2, 3, 4 of our starting 11 there today?
Well, if you look at the team that we played against Newcastle, we had Traore, Talby, Ronaldo, Siddiqui, Ballard. So we've lost half of our team from that Newcastle game 2 weeks ago.
Right. And yet we are playing a full-strength Leeds side with all of their summer signings. And we get a draw. So I think we should be really happy with that.
Yeah.
We will not be that weak again when we play them in the return fixture, and they can't really be any stronger. So I think there's much to be thankful for there.
Yeah, no, I think I'm happy with the draw, and I would have took a draw before the game. I think for me, I was, I suppose, a little bit surprised that we were bullied. I feel like today they were able to bully us in the game, and I don't think we've been able to say that at all. But I thought at time, not the whole game, I thought there was that period just after half time for 20 minutes where we were physically we were outmatched for me in all departments of the game. I thought they had that. And I've not really seen us have that this season, where a team's been able to impose themselves in such a physical way. And I think that's what sort of struck me today. And I thought Xhaka, to be honest, in the second half, I think he felt that. I thought that was, for that 20-minute period, he really, really struggled. And again, I've not seen him struggle once this season when it's come to that side of the game. I think that's probably the thing that's knocked me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all comes from that injury to Rodon, really. They were playing, before then, they were playing sort of 3-5, 3-5-2, and I thought we controlled the game in that first 25 minutes, half an hour. I thought we controlled the game pretty well. Certainly right from kickoff, I was very impressed with how we opened the game. And we had Adingra earns a throw-in, then a corner, then another throw-in, and I thought we looked really good and really sharp. We recycled the ball and we held it up, and I thought, this isn't going to be as difficult as I thought. And then when Rodon goes off and they bring Tanaka on, that's quite an aggressive substitution, I feel. We've scored the goal, so they kind of have to do that. You can't be defensive in that situation. So you've got a quite a creative centre-ish midfielder, and you take off a Rodon who plays at the back, or sort of wing back or whatever, and so I thought that really changed their shape a bit, and I thought that's what led them to dominate that midfield from then onwards until the substitutes that we made, which I thought we were crying out for a lot earlier than actually came. So yeah, I was quite pleased to see Rodon go off, but it turned out much better for them than it did for us.
Yeah. In terms of the lineup, we obviously lost Ballard, which was big. Rig played on the right, and Serkin came in and played at left back, which we have talked about whether or not you get a chance. I suppose he gets that chance because you would think that Hume would have been playing at left back today, and Ballard would have been central, and Mukiele would have been at right back. So I would guess that Serkins came in just because of that. I don't think that would have been planned when they thought Ballard was going to be playing. I thought Rig on the right didn't I thought again he just looks like he's getting bullied a little bit out there, and then I thought Serkin did really, really well, but there is an argument to say that he is so far out of position for their opening goal. Why is he pressing the goalkeeper in that position? And it leaves us so vulnerable on the transition, and Xhaka's having to play in at left back, and he, obviously that's just not where we want to see him. And I don't think that really happens with Ronaldo. I don't think I've ever seen Ronaldo press the goalkeeper. You have to wonder, why is Dennis Serkin doing that? Is it a directive, or is it something he's done himself? So Serkin, I thought, did really, really well, but you have to throw in, I have no idea why he is playing that aggressive.
Apart from that, I thought he had a decent game. I thought he had a solid, sort of debut for Sunderland in the Premier League. Didn't really do very much wrong, but equally in his defence, there, Sunderland are very good at rotating positions and covering. That there is like a set structure, and so the reason Xhaka is back there is because people are out of position. So we fill positions rather than players, if that makes sense. So the positions was covered, but it. And if you look further up the pitch, we are even tracking the runners in the position that Xhaka would be in. So we do have those positions covered. I just think, would it be much different if? I don't know who's tracking the midfield, because the midfield are running onto the ball at the edge of the box. I don't know who, although it's not them that score or anything like that. But you do wonder who's tracking them. It will be, a forward at some point who's doing that tracking back in the midfield. So everybody has sort of switched in a line, but the positions are all covered. Would it matter greatly if you switch the bodies? Is Serkin going to do a better job than Xhaka at stopping that ball go across? But I don't really think so. So you can say what's Serkin doing all the way out there, but I'm not sure it makes that much difference. All it does is swap the people in those positions. There would still be a press on the keeper. We would still have the same numbers in the back line. It would just be Serkin instead of Xhaka. So I don't know. I'm not. I mean, I might reflect on it yet, but I'm not convinced that that's a great cause in the goal, frankly.
I just don't know. When I watched the highlights back, I've only seen the highlights. So they had a big overhead camera that showed the whole pitch, and I just thought, I think my issue is it just doesn't have to be him doing that, and I think when he's got Adingra as well on his side, I think it leaves you vulnerable. I don't know if Leeds. It felt like Leeds purposely then targeted the spot that he was in the transition. And Aaron,
well, if they've got any sense, they would do. They would do if they have any sense.
And that's what they did, though. And Xhaka, I know you're saying, would it have been any different? I don't think Xhaka does an amazing job of stopping the cross coming in, and maybe Serkin would have. But yeah, I thought he did well, though, overall. What about Rig on the right side? I have written down, not sure if it really worked, as I did last week against Brighton.
Yeah, again, I don't have the number of stats that we did last week, but I thought last week was fairly conclusive. Although how conclusive is going to be in one game, but it was a very lopsided performance in terms of progressive passing and connecting with more advanced players. I just think Rig is a more defensive selection on the right hand side, and I think that stifles us a bit. So no, I mean, he wasn't really very visible in the game as much as he might be. And I know it's not a fair comparison, but you look at our left winger. I thought Adingra had a great game. He faded quite, in the second half. I thought he was more disciplined defensively. But you look on the right hand side and say, well, what's coming, with Rig, and it's vastly less. Now it's not the same comparison; they're not the same type of player, but I do think, I would like more from him, but maybe he is selected and has been the last 2 weeks because he's more of a defensive, quality to him. I don't know, and you wonder if we have a backline with Ballard in it, with Mukiele and Alderete and Ballard. You wonder if he makes the same choice on that right wing. I was very surprised that Mundell didn't get a look in until so very late in the game, because he's a big guy. He's quite physical, and you saw that when he came on. Did he get a yellow? In his few minutes he was on, and he nearly did if he didn't. And I was a bit surprised that he didn't get a shout. I mean, last week I think we agreed that we might like to see Mundell and Adingra play, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I think Mundell would have offered more, and I thought Mayender, when he came on, was fantastic. He offered more, although he wasn't put on the right really. But I think more from Rig. I think we sold ourselves a bit short with Rig starting.
Yeah, I would agree. Let's shower some love on Simon Adingra though, because I thought today, we talked last week, and I think there was quite a lot of people who were quite critical of his performance, and I wasn't one of them. I thought he did well last week. I thought he looked quite good, but some people thought he was wasteful. And I thought today, in the first half, we really saw the benefits of giving him 2 consecutive games of slots, because the goal he scored obviously was an unbelievable goal, and I don't think we have a lot of players capable of that kind of goal. I think I've said to you that we lack scoring kind of. I know that wasn't a long range goal, but it was a finish that I don't think many of our players can do. It was.
I don't think Talby scored that goal.
Yeah, I don't think he does either. And then the assist he nearly had for Brian Brobby, I thought was excellent. But he's a threat. And I think for me, I look at our wingers that we've got as a general rule. I won't include Mundell in this because Mundell hasn't played enough for me to say this about him in the Premier League. But the wingers that we have are not massive risk takers. And I think Adingra just seems to have a bit of an X factor about him. And I think we saw that today. His goal was just brilliant. It's Premier League quality is what he has there. And his crossbar probably was Premier League quality. And
absolutely. And importantly, he stayed on side. And there are a lot of times Wilson tries to take a ball like that, and half the time Wilson's offside.
Yeah. Before you jump in and give your analysis of it, I think that, and I said this as I left the ground, I think that left wing position is now Adingra's to lose. So for me, when everyone's back from AFCON, that's it. He gets that position because I think he's done well enough in these 2 games. But anyway, go on, Adingra. Talk about what you thought.
Yeah, no, I think he's. I think he is probably our most skillful player in attack. I would agree with that. I didn't think he played badly last week. He did lose the ball a lot, but the ball that he lost was in attacking positions very high up the field. And we showed those stats last week. He didn't lose a single ball in his own half last week. And I thought that today he was very good in trying to keep shape defensively. So he's heard that message, and he was better at that. He still sort of lunges into tackles occasionally and gives away cheap free kicks, which he could do a bit better at. But I thought he was better this week than last, and I thought last week he was good as well. I mean, if he's not in that team today, we have almost zero threat on the pitch. So I think he has to play. Talby doesn't do that finish, I don't think. He hugs that touchline really well. He doesn't have Talby's pace, but he doesn't need it because he's pretty good with the ball up that wing. Sure, he tries too many things. Sure, he gets robbed of the ball, but it's never in his own half. And he gets crosses across. He'll get balls in the box. So I would be happy to keep him. If he plays just as well, Man City's a tough ask. I can't remember who we've got after that. It's Spurs, isn't it? If he plays just as well at Spurs, then I would be inclined to agree with you. It's his spot to lose. It would be hard to see that Talby is significantly better than him to deserve to go straight back in. But Lebris is very loyal to people. He does put people straight back in, and if you're in his first 11, that's what he does. But all Simon Adingra can do is go again in the next 2 games and see where he is. I wish him the best of luck because I think he's our most dangerous attacking player. And we struggle for creativity as it is, particularly if we're not picking another attacking winger on the right, then we have to have someone of, great skill on the left at least. Otherwise, where are we going with any of that? I thought one of the reasons he played well last week at Brighton was because Hertrauda was so good, with progressive passes. And I thought he had another good game today. I can't remember a time where he was robbed of the ball. And I thought he again held the ball very well. He just looks really classy on it. And I thought he took up a lot of good positions in the pitch. Sometimes to the right of Xhaka, sometimes to the left. And I'm increasingly impressed with Hertrauda. And I like him in that midfield slot. It's hard to see him getting in the back line when everybody's fit. So, yeah, I thought the midfield was fine. I would have liked something else from Rig today. I'm still very disappointed Mundell doesn't get game time because he is a threat and he's a physical presence as well. He works hard.
Yeah, I would agree. I thought, the next player I was going to talk about was Catroida, but you kind of touched him. But I thought he was excellent. I thought, he just,
he's classy.
Yeah, and I do wonder if sticking him in there because he plays deeper than Xhaka and allows Xhaka to maybe play more as an 8 than a 6, and I wonder if we'll start to see the benefit of that going forward because Xhaka is going to be more advanced. I mean, you saw the assist he obviously got for Adingra. Yeah. He's got that little bit of quality that, he can find that. So if he's further advanced, maybe that does benefit him. But yeah, I think Catroida's sort of stepped in and done pretty well. To be honest, today I thought Lefay was pretty poor. I thought it was possibly one of his weaker games in a while. Don't think he did much going forward. I think he was sometimes a bit loose with the ball. And I think possibly I don't want to say the worst. I don't think it was like terrible, but he was maybe a 5 out of 10, which normally we're used to him being a pretty solid 7 out of 10 most weeks. I thought he didn't have a great game. And the other player I thought really struggled today was Trey Hume. I thought Noah Okafor had him on like toast in a lot of this game. I thought he was
Hume
really
does save a goal. It does have a goal line clearance though. So
he does. But
does that get him out of jail for you?
Yeah, well, I've got written in my notes here. Clearance on the line from Aronson is incredible. It was, but I thought generally in the game he really, really struggled today, and I thought Okafor in particular just dominated him throughout the match.
I think we're all agreed that at right back Mukiele would have that covered. So when we have a fit squad all back from AFCON, it's going to be Mukiele on the right, and it's going to be Reinildo on the left, and we would be much better at that. I'd be very interested to see how we go in the return fixture with that back line, because a lot will change between now and then. So who knows? They will have different priorities, but they look to be pulling away from the danger zone, and that will be interesting, that return fixture, because for me, I'm just really interested in that measure of how we are. I don't think this is a really. They'll be thrilled, no doubt. They'll feel hard done by. They could have won that game. They'll say, "I don't know how Sunderland are so high up. They're no big shakes or whatever." But that's a weak squad for us out there today, and I would like to be able to see what we're like against Leeds, who I do rate as a decent side. I would like to see how we go up against them with a full team, of all of our signings together, because I think that would be a nice measure for us to make, and one that we're not able to make today. So, what about Brobby up front then? Tell me what you thought about him.
I thought he did well. He held the ball up. Now, I think in terms of his overall gameplay, I was impressed with him. The 2 chances he has in the stadium, I felt like he should have done better with the first one. And the second one, I thought he was unlucky. But actually, now I've seen it back, I think the first one,
First
their
one's hard.
goalkeeper actually has a bit of a nightmare and should have come for the ball and he sort of comes for it and then stops and it gives Brobby the chance. The second one, I think Brobby should be scoring that. I think he'd be
Yeah.
disappointed that he didn't put that in. And, you know, we've
I
talked
mean,
a lot on this channel. Me and you are both on team. We don't need to sign a new centre forward. And I'm still on that team. But
yeah.
it's been a few chances now in the last few games where maybe a better finisher scores a goal. And I think we've been a little bit unlucky in the last 5 or 6 games that we've not scored more because some of the finishing's not been there. I mean, we talk about Brobby not getting many chances. He got 2 in 2 minutes, and both of them he should have done better with. But the second one, you know, he should be heading that in.
That second one's a free header. I mean, he gets a tremendous amount of power on it, but he doesn't even hit the target. And I think you really have to. You're not going to get many chances, particularly if you play for a low possession side, particularly if you've got two deep lying centre half midfielders. You're not going to get that many chances. You really have to try. You got to hit the target. It's a really powerful header, but he hits the top of the bar. I think it's not really even that close. So I still don't think signing a 15-25 million pound striker is really going to alter much about our results here, because we don't have enough chances where I think to validate that kind of signing. I think we need other signings first. Maybe come the summer, you look at that position, maybe. But we need depth in the line, the back, maybe. Or if you have depth in midfield and on the right wing, then you have Hertrauda spare for the back line. So yeah, no, I am still. I like Brobby. I think he's getting better. I think he's not especially helped by the way we play. But I agree with you. He's got to do much better on that chance he gets. He has to hit the target. I actually thought the first one was a difficult chance. Yeah.
I
Look,
thought I watched though the way Leeds used Calvert-Lewin today, and obviously I've said that I was impressed with him, but I think they do a really effective job of like getting players around him. So today he won a few. He set I think the Brendan Aronson one that's saved on the line.
yeah,
It's him who's making the really really good flick to him. And what Leeds are doing is they know he's good in the air, and they're getting men to run off him so that he can either flick it on or touch it on.
yeah,
Whereas we today, I mean, the amount of times the ball goes up to Brobby and he has to hold it, hold it, hold it. Then he finds maybe
yeah.
Chris Rigg and nobody else has got round. We're not giving him the chance to have like
No,
lots of success in the position he plays. Whereas I thought today, when I watched the way Leeds set up in terms of their attacks, they do get men round. I think it's to be honest, it's as much their system with the the way that they set up as a team that does that. But we kind of just leave him on his own island. One of the reasons why I like Adingra is that Adingra cheats a little bit and does take the risk of pushing up a little bit more. And I presume when we looked at
yeah.
Traore's, you had his touch map the other week on, and he's
He plays
pretty much
very
as far
high. Yeah,
forward. Yeah.
yeah.
I think Adingra though is maybe more effective at doing that because he seems to be a bit trickier and I
But
feel like Traore is quite safe.
I don't think that Lebris will do that. I think he will say one winger will be playing high on one side, and that is it. So I think if Traore comes back, that would be the reason why Adingra doesn't play. Because if Traore plays on the right, then he's saying, I'm not having two wingers high up. I would like my defensive solidity. I don't want to get beaten and thrashed by anybody. And we've said before, there's a lot of merit to that. If you get a 0 goal difference in this division, you'll end up 8th to 12th. And I think
Let's
that's the way
though,
he thinks.
but if we looked at it another way and if we look at when Traore is back, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but I want Adingra playing on the left over Traore on the right. And I know people on this channel in the comments say that I don't like Traore. It's not that I don't rate Traore. It's just that Adingra, I think, has shown in 2 games that he is capable of doing things that Traore isn't. Traore, I don't think, is
I
a
agree.
significant
Yeah.
goal threat. I don't think he is necessarily going to get tons of assists, but I think Adingra can and will. For me, if that
Yeah.
is your decision, which one of them two you're playing, I think it has to be Adingra. And I think that they need to go out and buy a right winger as well. Suppose I am shitting all over Bertrand Traore, aren't I? Really, but I think we do need another right
Maybe.
winger though.
Maybe he would play them both because Traore is is more disciplined at keeping defensive shape and is better at it. So maybe he would simply say, Adingra can go high, but sorry, Bertrand, you cannot. Today you will be contributing little to the side. But there is when you assess who's good on the wing and who's, and Brobby up front, it is the system that Lebris plays. As you point out, we have those two central midfielders, whether it's Siddiqui or Xhaka, or whether recently it's Hertrauda and Xhaka, they sit so deep, and Xhaka dropping into the back line sometimes to start the passing off, that we have only Adingra up with Brobby, and it must be deeply frustrating for him that he gets so few chances, and so much of the ball he sees is facing away from goal. I still think he has to do better with that header, that second big chance he has. But he's not helped, and getting another striker wouldn't really make much difference because the chances are so few and far between. And that's why Lefay playing poorly today is quite ruinous for us. We've talked last week, I think, about how Lefay helps the people in front of him when he plays in that midfield. But if he has a poor game, we have very little outlet. And the only outlet we had was Adingra today. And it would be nice if we got a right winger, or we got a right-sided midfielder who can add a bit of steel and creativity, because Xhaka and Siddiqui, when they play so deep, don't have that link with the forward line, and it's a miss for Brobby. I hope that brings us very nicely to the impressive introduction of Mayender, because I thought he is exactly that sort of player who can make that link defensively, who does hold onto the ball. And it would have been nice to see Mayender with Brobby, because I think that could work.
Yeah, I'm massively on team Mayender. I thought he came on today, considering he's not played much football. Well, he's not played any football really for about 2 months. He came on. He skinned a few players. The ball sticks to him. When you think he's losing the ball, he doesn't. It sticks to him.
It's incredible.
He is a Premier League player in that sense, because we talk about Rig. So one of my frustrations with Rig is that the ball isn't sticking with him right now, and even when he today did a nutmeg, but he nutmegged it and lost it straight away afterwards. Whereas Mayender looks like he's comfortable at this level technically, and he's got that little bit of physicality about him. He's got that weight to him, and I thought when he came on, he did look impressive. He was better than Isidore came on and didn't really do anything. Mayender comes on and he does things for himself. He had that sort of chance where he dribbled through and it got deflected, but he does things like that all the time. I think Mayender's been really hard done by not getting more minutes, and when he came on, for me, that is him now back in the reckoning, because he did so much in that 15 minutes. I thought he was really, really impressive when he came on.
He was. Now, if you play him on the right and you say, do you know what, in possession, just come in field like he often does. Just play on an inside right position without a winger, and you have him and Lefay in the middle and Adingra high on the left with Brobby. I think that would have been a much more solid attacking unit to make the connections between the back five and Brobby up front. And I thought we could have offered more today in that sort of selection. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing, because I think the selection was it's a thin squad at the minute. The selection could have been better, and I thought the subs came very late to hope to do anything, and we were lucky to still be drawing at that point, I feel. But yeah, this conversation is getting me down. I'm not down. I think that's, given our situation, that's a good point.
No,
that's the weakest we'll be.
I mean, if we were to round off from it, I know we don't look too much at the bottom end of the league, but we are 15 points clear now of West Ham, which is, I think that's the furthest we've been away from the bottom three all season. So, we've got to take, if you take sort of perspective of the year, bearing in mind we've played our last game of 2025, to be 15 points clear of the bottom three is pretty good going. Like, we would never have dreamt that, and as we leave disappointed from drawing this Leeds game, a game in which everyone told us at the start of the season AFCON was going to murder us. We've already got 2 points, which is 2 more than a lot of people would have tipped us to get.
My hot take is going to fail, though. I think we had to win today.
What were your hot take? Was it 10 points or something?
10 points in AFCON.
Yeah. But we could be undefeated. We're still undefeated. So
That there, possibly.
and
Um, if we get beat by Man City next week, I think there are 4 teams on 1 point below us. But they're not all going to win, so I think we'll still be like 8th or 9th after
yeah,
we've played Man City for the second time. That's a great
yeah.
place to be.
Isn't it
Um,
weird that we're playing Man City twice before we've played Tottenham once?
yeah, I don't really understand why that's happened, but I'm very pleased to be, looking at possibly being 8th or 9th, having played them twice already. I think, well,
Yeah,
that's great. They're out the way. They're gone. Don't worry
yeah. We
about
don't have to
that.
worry about that. I mean, I think if we obviously we're going to do a Man City preview, which we will. But I look at the next couple. I mean, Ronaldo's Mozambique frustratingly won today, so he has a chance of getting through the next round. And also annoyingly, Senegal and Cameroon, not Cameroon,
They played
Senegal
out a
and
draw.
Congo played out a draw, which is frustrating because it means
Yeah.
both will probably go through now because they're both on 4 points. But yeah, we've got that Man City game, which is not a free hit, an opportunity, as I would say, but essentially a free hit. We don't expect anything. Then we've got Tottenham and Brentford. And I feel like there's vulnerabilities there that we can have a go at. And then
Yeah.
obviously we're in the Everton FA Cup game, and then by the time we get past that, and I've had a week away in Tenerife, and we get past that point, we'll be looking good. I think is it West Ham after that
I think
Everton
so.
game?
I think so.
No, it cannot be. We must have a home game in there, surely. That's like 4 straight away games.
Let's have a look.
SAFC fixtures. I know we've got end of the month. We've got Crystal Palace. I've missed. So yeah, we've got City at home,
Palace at
Tottenham,
home.
Brentford, Everton away, 3 in a row. Palace at home, West Ham away, Burnley at home, before a lovely back-to-back game against Arsenal and Liverpool on a Saturday to a midweek. Why is it that the Premier League punishes us Saturday midweek with playing the top 6 teams in the league?
Because we had an easy start to the fixture lists. I don't know.
Punishment. Oh well.
Punishment because they gave us an easy start. They have to take away someone else.
Fair
Apparently.
enough.
I don't know. But I mean, we've only lost once to the top 6, haven't we?
Yeah, we lost that game against Man City. That's it. I mean, we've still only lost 4 games this season, which is, I was looking before. Arsenal's lost 2, City's lost 4, Villa's lost 3. It's just us. So we have lost the joint 3rd least in the league this season.
Yeah.
Pretty good going. We can't knock
Yeah.
it. Anyway, is there anything else to add before we wrap up this lovely video podcast?
I don't think so. The only thing I would add about the substitutes is Wilson coming on. I didn't think he added much to the game. It's not the sort of game where he could do. They are big and physical, and I don't know what we were expecting, trying to pump long balls up to him at the back. I think we had been bullied to that point for that start of the second half, through to the substitutes in the midfield, and I don't think Wilson is the person to fix that. So that would be the only thing I would add. I thought the substitutes came late. I thought they could have been better. Yeah. That was all. I'm still frustrated at Mundo coming on so late in the game.
When did we actually make? I mean, obviously being in the ground, I don't know. When did so Mundo was 85, and
I think the rest of
was
the
68.
Yeah, so they get on the pitch 68, 69 minutes.
Yeah.
But I just felt we'd been under such pressure for so long that I thought we might have changed something about the way we played earlier. And I do think, I know you say they sat back, but I do think that Mayender being in that midfield, or sort of dropping back, I thought that was helpful to take up the space, soak up the pressure, break up the ball. I think that was part of what helped.
See, I thought that there was a visible drop off for me from Leeds on I don't know when it was, maybe 70 minutes, which is roughly when Mayender come on, but they stopped being as aggressive in that press. For me, it looked very clearly like they went, we'll take the point. We want the point. We don't want the 3. We don't want 3 or 0. We want 1, just so we can get the 1. Which, I think if West Ham had won the day before, I think Leeds would have been far more aggressive to get the win. But I think because West Ham got beat, they thought, yeah, this is a good point for us. We'll take it.
Well, I mean, it is. It keeps their unbeaten run going. and the longer that goes on, the more confident the team gets. But also, we're notorious for sucker punching people late in the game, so you get a bit nervous, and you look at some of their results, and if they lose today, a lot of those 4 games that come before us, end up counting for naught. So I think it was important for them that they didn't lose that today, especially having come from behind.
Yeah, I agree. Oh well, we'll wrap this up. We'll have a preview coming out for Man City as well later in the week. Before we go, there's one last thing. A guy who I sat next to at the match was whinging that I said I didn't hate Leeds because he hated Leeds because they broke Bobby Kerr's leg or something, which is before my time.
Yeah.
So I apologise for the oldies who watch this that I don't know much about that. But yeah, I think it was Norman Hunter, he said. And he's like, I've always hated Leeds, and I hate Leeds just slightly less than I hate the Mags. So I apologise if I offended anyone with my comment to say that I don't hate Leeds and that I think they're okay. I have now changed my position and have nuclear level hatreds of Leeds United.
I don't hate Leeds. I'd
No, I don't
quite
hate
like
Leeds
them to.
either.
I'd quite like them to stay up because I think if 2 promoted teams, I think Burnley are rubbish, frankly. But if 2 promoted teams stay up, and that would be really good, I think.
I agree. But anyway,
So,
for Peter, who I sit next to at the match, for Peter, I hate Leeds. And what a perfect way to sign off. So yeah, check out the Man City preview, and we'll see you soon.